Greetings, friends, and welcome to another episode of The Mistake Zone, your weekly dose of our lives and the mistakes within them. My name is Jaren Wade. Joining me, as always, one of my best friends in the whole wide world, Matt Alba. Hey, Matt.
Yo.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good.
Matt, that's great. We're here week 4 of the Jaren and Rakush beef once again in my contract. Wait, Matt?
No.
Did I just hear something? Matt?
Oh, no.
I specifically said in my Mistake Zone contract that moving forward, I will not be on the same episode as Rakush. And then I heard, Matt, is there some trickery going on right now?
Sorry, Jaren. There were some disputes coming up with the contracts, and honestly, it was getting a little bit difficult for me to handle it on my own. So I decided to, bring Rakush in for a meeting today as well.
Hey, they said trick or treat, but we're out of treats, so it's all tricks.
Damn. Well, now that we're here.
Oh, man. Husha-ho.
I guess.
Jared, we got too many friends who I do actually beef with, old friends that I beef with, so I feel like we should actually clarify that this is not an actual beef. Because some people might think it's a real beef between us.
Now that we're here revising our Mistake Zone contracts for the new addendum to Rakush's contract, I believe you now have 1 whole minute to talk about baseball before we move on. So Rakush, now that you've been introduced, please take your baseball minute.
Oh my god. Honestly, listen, man, I don't even know where to go with this because, I'm pretty much at peace with where my team is because I've seen my team win a lot. But when it comes to the Jays, division rivals, I kind of felt bad, but also I was cackling at how it ended, mainly because they won as much as they could without winning anything, and the hater in me found new depths to go down to really kind of start cackling and laughing at what's happening to this team and stuff as well. But I mean, listen, man, they basically lost to Jordan. There's nothing wrong in that. So yeah, entertaining though.
As a Blue Jays fan since October 2025, boys, I'm really crushed that the team I've liked for a total of 2 weeks did not win the big one.
Damn.
And I know I wasn't going to go deep into sports because this isn't a sports podcast, but there's something about, I'm not trying to throw shade on anyone here, but there's something about the bandwagon boys that makes everyone an expert that shown no inclination that they were fans in the first place. But all of a sudden, the moment, their quote unquote team loses, everyone has thoughts on why they lost. And I find that kind of interesting. But
guys, I want to read one quick Reddit post off of to you guys from our Toronto because it is genuinely one of the most insane things that I've ever read in my life. So the post goes, I feel like we should have a parade out of love. I feel like the Blue Jays deserve a parade anyway for how far they got, for how they connected us as a nation, and out of appreciation and respect, and set a great example of determination. That's all. That's not how parades work.
Yeah.
Also, massive waste of taxpayer money first off, but yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Parades are for winners, but if I had to be real, I was honestly, as a fan for a whole 2 weeks, despite me in baby pictures wearing Blue Jays apparel for the longest time, there was something kind of cool just to see, as that post might have mentioned, the city, come together, just even all the images of them selling the charity tickets for everyone to watch the away games at the Rogers Center. And just all the different promotions. I thought that part was cool. I was one of the suckers who stayed up for that 18-inning game, man. And boy, that was a mistake. And I don't know, I think the zeitgeist as someone who likes sports in the background and doesn't have any real team affinity, I thought it was a pretty entertaining 2 weeks for the most part. But man, boys, I went to a card con today, and did a lot of people have thoughts on what transpired and how many times the Blue Jays were supposed to have won this whole series? But
I think my favorite one, by the way, was when a literal act of nature happened when physics intervened and wedged the ball in between the ground and the wall. And like, it's a rule. I did not know it was a rule until it happened. I'll not bullshit here. But it's a rule. Once they actually read the rule, it's like, yeah, that's exactly what they were supposed to do. I absolutely love how like people are just not willing to understand that rules exist and you have to follow them sometimes. Like, that one is kind of wild. But
I think, again, as someone who still clings on to the 2019 Raptors victory because that's how I define my personality, as an outsider looking into this whole Blue Jays run, Rakush bias aside, just from a pure gameplay perspective, how would you rate this World Series?
Insane. Genuinely, objectively speaking, a very insane World Series, right? So, like, look, like, I hate because it's entertaining for me kind of thing, but the Jays were genuinely, like, really, really good. And, like, one thing I did not appreciate about the narrative in the World Series was this idea that it was, like, David versus Goliath, like, this underdog stuff. Like, both teams are top 5 in payroll, so I don't think we need to do that. I think you can just accept that, like, both teams were really good. And, like, they were basically, like, Utah Jazz going up against Jordan in the 90s. Like, you can be the best team in the world if Jordan's on the other side. Like, what are you supposed to do sometimes, right? Now, I think that's ultimately kind of, like, where this series ended up, is just that, like, they were damn near perfect, right? Like, they had 2 hitters that broke the postseason record for most hits in a single postseason. They had a rookie pitcher that was absolutely dealing, like, double-digit strikeouts in like a very important game in a World Series. Does not happen like that, right? Like, the pieces all fell into place at the right time for them. Even, like, the veteran that was, like, absolutely garbage and wasn't even playing in the ALDS gets added into the championship series and the World Series roster, and he does pretty well. Like, everything fell into place and it did not work out for them. Like, it's genuinely, like, one of the more insane World Series that could have happened, and I genuinely cannot believe that, like, with everything that was going right for them, the Jays still could not win. Like, it is, and I'm like, I understand why to, like, the non-neutral observer, it might seem like I'm just kind of rubbing salt in a wound, but, like, these are, to me, facts. Like, it is genuinely insane that this happened.
Matt, as a person who has absorbed all this through osmosis, from what you've understood of this year's World Series, how anime is it out of 10?
I mean, okay, you know what? I think it's actually pretty anime, especially the ending. From both sides of the thing. Like, I can see it, ending that way for, whichever protagonist team for either side. Cause, it's either you get right to the end and then you lose, and that's, now we're gonna go to season 2 or, probably 4 at this point. Or you go to, like, the Dodger side and it's, the big win at the end of the series.
Matt, what do you think of the narrative in that the only reason the Dodgers won the World Series back-to-back is for those 2 back-to-back years they've had HoloLive appreciation nights or collaboration nights?
Oh, man. The power of anime is, you know what? No, yeah, the power of anime. That's exactly it.
They also had a One Piece night. Although the Red Sox also had one and they didn't make it to the World Series.
Fair.
So I don't know what that says.
Oh, man. And something Padres Nikki, and I'm still surprised that actually happened this year as well. But, Matt, speaking about streamers, in a way, I told you this week that one of my current, I wouldn't say obsessions, but I've caught all 3 of her streams so far, was that actress model Kato Kanatsu, who is the voice actress for Hinako in Silent Hill F. She's been streaming her playthrough of Silent Hill F. And of course, every time, at least once during her streams, she'll, pan the camera to face Hinako and then try to make the same pose that she's making in-game in real life. And I think that's such a trip to watch the actress play herself in a video game where, Matt,
that's cool.
Realistically speaking, if you were to be, if your likeness was used in the game, you did all the mocap, you did the voice acting, is there a genre you think you'd be okay playing yourself in, and is there a genre or type of game you'd still do but absolutely would never play just because of how weird it is?
I feel like for me, if it also, I don't know, was similar in personality to me as well, the character that I would be is similar in personality to me as well. Even though I never played it, I feel like I could only really fit inside a dragon game or something.
Wait, so would you do?
You think you would fit in a Yakuza game?
Like not specifically like a Yakuza game, but something that has that feel to it. Like outside of something like, like The Sims or some kind of create yourself kind of avatar type thing. I think really where I would fit is something like that.
Could you? I don't think I'm having an easy time visualizing it. So, what do you mean by the feel of Yakuza games?
Something that is a not serious, basically just a not serious, kind of weird game. Is the only kind of game I can think of where I feel like my this in terms of both appearance and personality would really fit.
I could see it.
How about you, Rakush? If your likeness, if you were mocapped, if you did the voice acting, what genres are okay for you, and what genres are you'd do it, but you'd never play that game?
Don't put me in a JRPG. I can tell you that much right away. I don't. Maybe in one of those Danganronpa-esque games. If you did that.
Okay,
but that's not mocap. So that's
fair,
that's a
that's
weird
one.
You could make a mocap Danganronpa, I think.
Maybe, I guess, yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Just every respect to Kato, but every time a death animation happens for her, and then her, Hinako is just withering in pain or something gruesome's really happening, and then her in the background just kind of laughing it off. It's one of those. I don't know if I'd have that dissonance to really separate myself and think, oh, this is. It's so weird looking at me with, getting chopped in half or something where I don't know. I feel like I'm with you, Matt, where if it was in that more, whether it be a Yakuza or even a Saints Row.
Oh yeah, Saints. Yeah. Actually.
An element of wackiness where you can really tell that, okay, this is definitely a video game, me doing video game ass things, where if you put me in Silent Hill, I'm never playing that game. Never playing that game. Too real. But
the guy who did the mocap for Arthur Morgan in Red Dead has also been doing basically a playthrough of Red Dead 2. And yeah, one thing that's really cool about those experiences though is sometimes he'll talk about BTS stuff or how many times they had to record a certain line and all of that. It's great. Okay. I do love that part.
It's definitely something I want to do more of, and I do get a lot of YouTube recommendations of, hey, this voice actor is playing the game that they're starring in. But I think the reason why, the Silent Hill playthrough is, really piquing a lot of people's interest. And, shout out to her. She's getting 50K views or live viewers every time she streams. It's the fact that it's literally her in this game. And I don't know. I feel like even if you don't understand what she's saying because it's in Japanese, there's still that kind of unique aspect to it that I think makes it at least interesting to check out.
Jared,
what's up?
Actually, also Rakush, we can just learn
Fair.
Japanese. It's November. We can do nonstop Nihongo November.
Fair.
Does it have to be nonstop Nihongo?
Immersion is important in language learning, right? At least,
right.
You got to do nonstop Nihongo November. We can do one whole episode in Japanese.
Are you sure you're not just playing off of the No Nut November and just acronym?
Yeah, of course, because that's what the fucking joke is. God. Okay, because you're gonna have to like put into your contract that you can't just like point out like, oh, hey, this is the joke. Also, you know what? There are some times when like, there's a lot of times where you're like, hey, yo, Jaren, that's like a really good segue. And then there's other times where Jaren throws you a segue and you're like, oh, what the fuck is this? Oh, fuck that shit. And then you just like fucking leave it there.
Wait. I didn't realize Matt Rakush was actually real. I thought we were goofing.
Oh, man.
I just found this out too. Holy shit.
Oh,
Matt-
man.
Oh, gosh.
It's because I had to sit through these episodes
November.
like I had to sit through these episodes like 3 times. so you know this shit comes up pretty often.
Basic.
Ah,
Well, I'm sorry, man.
Matt. I promise you, I'm gonna.
Uh-huh.
I want to say for Nonstop Nihon November, I'm gonna try to when I'm on vacation this month. I'm gonna try to at least talk to someone in Japanese. But Matt,
Oh, man.
you've known me for 20 years. You know I'm a scared baby boy, and that's not gonna
Oh.
happen. So.
It's so scary, Jared. It's so scary. Talking to someone in Japanese is so scary.
Yo, bro, just go drinking with me. I'll, fire up Google Translate. Next thing you know, you'll have a friend named Toru-san in Sapporo.
Oh man, do you still talk to anybody in that from that Hokkaido bar or izakaya?
No, I didn't.
Oh,
Because, like, there's no real good way of staying in touch with them because I don't have Line, and, like, that's what they use, right?
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, like, the gentleman was definitely, like, close to in his late 40s, early 50s.
Yeah.
I don't think he was a WhatsApp or social media person.
Yo,
from
maybe
the
he
sounds of it.
cool. Maybe he vibing with the
Possibly.
North American youth somehow.
Yeah. I would blame you because I left early because I'm like, yeah, my friends are waiting for me.
Oh, well.
So, you know.
Damn.
Thanks,
Guys,
Matt.
For this entire last segment, I've been on Kato Kanatsu's Silent Hill wiki page, and there's 2 gifs of her being brutally murdered, just playing on loop, and I feel real bad, so I'm going to close this tab right now. But, boys, talking about Japanese cinematic experiences, Rakush, we went to the movies, not together, but we went to the movies last week to watch the new Chainsaw Man, the movie, the Reze arc. And before we...
Oh, I went yesterday, by the way, just so that I'm included in
Nice,
this conversation
nice.
as well.
So, Matt,
Yes.
you've also saw the movie as well.
Uh-huh.
Matt, before we get into it, though, I know that on Crunchyroll, you can watch 2 quote-unquote companion movies for the first season of Chainsaw Man. And, you know, this was something I brought up to you guys a few weeks ago when I told you that I watched Chainsaw Man for the first time. And to get ready for, the movie, we watched the 2 companion movies just to, refresh what happens. And the total runtime for the first companion movie is around 2 hours, while the total runtime for the second movie is around an hour or 40 minutes. And the first one covers the first 6 episodes, and then the second one covers the last 6 episodes. And boys, it's one of those things where I kind of mapped it out. If you're doing the first 6 episodes and trying to condense that to 2 hours, you're mostly just watching those full 6 episodes at that point. If given a episode is around 20 minutes each. Where we did watch the 2 companion movies. We kind of made them into second screen experiences just so we kind of know the story beats going in and just seeing if we remember everything properly before the movie. And I think what I realized with the companion movies is that when you're watching a quote unquote condensed version of the season, it's, to me, I feel like it hit everything. And maybe it's just because I'm getting older and I've had selective memories where I feel like anything that was cut or was changed just didn't resonate with me. Where if you told me that this was edited in a way to be a more condensed version, I guess I would have to believe you because I don't know. I like the idea of a companion movie in theory, but I feel like I feel like it wasn't condensed enough to my liking, if that makes sense. Where the idea of
I did end up watching the first one.
Okay.
Is it the same for both, would you say? Because I'm debating whether I should watch the second one.
Honestly, Rakudo, by the time we finished the second one, I thought, man, I remember it does its job of, you rewatching everything, kind of getting reacquainted with these characters. But at the same time, I feel like there's no real difference between you binging those 6 episodes, back to back, and you watching a companion one, where maybe, I don't know if this speaks to the season in all, but I don't think you're not missing anything if you watch it, just because you're essentially just rewatching the anime. Where, Matt, in theory, what would make a companion movie something you want to kind of check out? Or do you think it's kind of redundant in a way if you're barely cutting out anything?
I mean, if you're barely cutting out anything, it's pretty redundant, I think. Like, there was nothing new added to the companion movie, was there?
Honestly, if something was new, like, it didn't register with me at all for both of them.
So, couple of things that they changed were some of the dialogue were re-recorded, mainly to kind of have the actors have a little bit more energy for certain scenes. For what it's worth, like, they cut out, I would say, around like 10-15 minutes ish of content. Like, there was certainly, like, when I watched the first compilation movie, like, the pacing was just a lot better there for me personally. And, like, I just kind of remember it feeling a little bit more like a slog at certain parts when watching it week to week. So maybe what I'm missing is that I watched kind of like 6 episodes at once, which is why it felt a little bit more compact. I don't know.
Right.
But one thing for sure they cut out were some of the episode 1 scenes that, like, I remember, like, Matt, you and I talked about them, and, like, we talked about how sort of, like, the hallways look, like, weird in proportion to the characters and stuff. Like, they cut out a lot of those scenes from this compilation, I would say. And I would say, like, the pacing definitely felt a lot better when watching, like, that first movie versus season 1. So, yeah. Okay. Make it that way, well, I guess.
Where I think in theory, a companion movie works when you kind of cut out the fluff, where, I mean, we're no stranger to one episode of anime ending with a particular scene, and then the next episode plays that exact same scene, where I feel like if you're cutting those kind of transition filler aspects, I think that's fine. But I don't know. I liked it in theory. It got everything across, but at the same time, I'm not sure how my time would have been better spent, like watching this companion movie or just watching the 6 episodes, since I think like minute per minute, I think the same length for those ones. But
so I think, like, the main takeaway from the compilation movie is it's a different director than the series. And so ultimately it's just kind of like, which director's vision do you prefer more? Now, they didn't reanimate anything for the compilation movie, so of course, like, you still have a lot of the original director's vision in there, but I think it is the voice acting, I think it is the pacing. Like, some of these things were done a little bit differently, that, like, it just kind of, like, certain moments felt like they hit a little bit differently. Now, I haven't watched the second one, so of course I cannot speak to, like, what that kind of feels like, but that seems to be where, like, the key difference is. And when you're deciding whether to watch the series versus a compilation, that's kind of like the key fork in the road, basically. So yeah.
Fair. And once again, we were second screening this, so maybe if we were paying a bit more attention, things would be pop up more. But, this was all to get us ready for the Chainsaw Man movie, the Reze arc. We saw it in a VIP theater just because it was cheap on Wednesdays. I wanted to do 4DX, but boys, all of the 4DX showings were in 3D 4DX. And you know me and my bad eyes. Nothing pops out when I see 3D movies, so I'm paying more for a dimmer version of that movie. So no to that.
Yeah.
Went to the VIP, which I believe was just like an Ultra AVX or whatever, whatever the format is. But Matt, Rakush, if I said Reze did nothing wrong, how expected of me is that?
I agree with you.
Yeah, it sounds about like what I'd expect you to say.
But also I agree with you.
But so we're not going to really go. Well, I guess if there are any plot points you want to talk about specifically, we'll get to that. But I think the biggest takeaway for me personally, I remember a few weeks ago when I brought up Chainsaw Man to you guys for the first time, and one of the things I said was the first season of anime was a lot less stylish than I thought it would be, and I think throughout this movie, and especially a lot of the different action scenes, I think this is what I ultimately expected the Chainsaw Man anime to be, where especially the use of color throughout all the different fights was really reminiscent of the striking manga volume covers that I've come to expect from the series, where to see those reflected, to see, those paint splotches, those blood splatters kind of really translate well into the actual movie itself to really add impact to those fight scenes, I thought was really cool. And speaking of those fight scenes, I think with Reze or with the Bomb Devil, the fact that she has all these explosive attacks, but she's still able to mix in these pretty normal MMA close quarter combat moves, attacks, really created a good contrast between, that bombastic spectacle all around, and then to suddenly cut into her just doing an arm drag or kind of parrying punches at her. I thought that really emphasized how beautiful the fight scenes were to me as well. And I think those two things were my personal standouts from the movie, aside from some Makima stuff that we might get into later. But I think if there's one thing that I was really impressed by, it was the visuals, it was the fight choreo. And just overall, I think this is a movie that does stand on its own, where even I feel like if you didn't have that pre-existing knowledge of what this property is, I think it delivers just enough information to get you invested or caught up to speed with a lot of these characters and still tell a story between Denji and Reze. But Rakush, as a big fan of this franchise, what were your initial impressions when you walked out the theater?
Extremely happy. Side note, just to kind of connect some of the things we've talked about here. So I watched it on the same day as the 18-inning baseball game was happening. And so by the time I got home, I think it was like inning 6 or inning 7 or something like that. And thanks to the sort of adrenaline that was running through me because of watching the movie, I survived the 18 innings, but that's a different story.
Actually, before you move on, Rakush, we watched it on game 5, and the moment we sat down, my partner checked her phone and said, wait, why is it 2-0 already? And I thought, I got a kick out of that. But sorry, go on, Rakush, your initial impressions when you walked out the theater.
Definitely was very happy with it. Like, there was a lot of scenes where I just had this big grin on my face. Jaren, and Matt, I don't know if you guys picked up on this the way I picked up on it, just because of my affinity for John Wick as well, but it felt extremely inspired by the John Wick movies in a way that it to me it came across really really obviously with the music. And I think everything stood out for me as a positive. I think the music is probably where I would go with my first train of thought. So I believe it was, I'm just checking the album right now. All the score was done by Kensuke Ushio, I believe, except for the opening track. And if you also just kind of think about the progression of the movie, the first half is setting up all of the action for the second half. And I don't think I don't think I'm over exaggerating, sorry, when I say that the second half is all action.
Mm-hmm.
It's genuinely once it starts, it just keeps going and going and going. And I think that is what really stood out for me, is just sort of the director knew exactly what sort of pace this movie needed, exactly what sort of key moments needed to be emphasized in it. Like, to kind of see the Bomb Devil for the first time in the movie, like that introduction was done so beautifully. And one of my complaints when I was talking about the original series, which I'm just revisiting it to speak to why I like a lot of the things in this movie, and less to kind of like just beat a dead horse here, but it was sort of like the use of this frantic energy that the manga has. And like, as I was watching the movie, it was so obvious to me that like that frantic energy is here. It's very present. Sometimes at the cost of visual clarity on what exactly is happening, but considering like where we were with the series, I'm fine with kind of like this course correction or like this overcorrection, because I think it really it is built in a way that I think I can appreciate it on rewatches. Speaking of, I'm likely going for a second screening next week as well. But yeah, it was just fantastic. I think the music is the first place I would go to with this. I think the second place that I would go to with this were the character moments. I think like when I speak about why I love this series as much as I do, it has a lot to do with how the characters interact with each other, but also just sort of like the quiet moments sometimes, like, you know, that really kind of speak loudly because of the silence, so to speak, as cliched as that sounds. And I really just kind of felt like they captured those moments nicely. Like, there wasn't just a lot of moments where they're explaining every single detail. You pick up on the things with the combination of the music and the way the characters' faces and expressions are drawn, and like sometimes like how close up they get to some of the expressions and stuff. I think just, yeah, like that overall package was done really well. And I think like a lot of folks, like, you know, when you kind of go and look up like reviews or look up people talking about this online, will go to like this one scene, which is the pool scene, right? Like that. Jaren, you might be able to kind of like understand this one a little bit, but like it honestly reminded me a whole lot of that pool scene from Beck, like way back in the day. I think it was like episode like 5 or 6, I think. But like
the mid ones, yeah.
Yeah. And like it just had like that same beauty and like energy to it in a way that, like, you know, it just kind of felt like everybody involved with this movie had an understanding of what makes Chainsaw Man so unique and so sincere and beautiful and also frantic and sometimes idiotic as well. And like, these are the things that like when you say beautiful and sincere and then idiotic like 5 seconds later, it should not make sense like in the same sentence. And yet these contradictions all kind of work very, very well together in this movie. And so like, I am not one that loves saying everything is perfect anymore, because it just kind of feels so like shock jockey or reactive or whatever. Like, this is as close to a perfect interpretation of this arc as I could have asked for personally. So extremely, extremely happy with it.
Man, such passion, Rakush, such passion. But before we dig a little deeper, Matt, your first impressions walking out of the theater once you finished your first viewing?
Kind of going back to what Rakush said about when he was like watching the compilation movies, I think I fully understand why this, you know, as someone who hates like in continuity movies, for like anime series, I fully understand why this works better as a movie rather than as I guess like what, like this would have been like the equivalent of 6 or 7 episodes, if it was an anime.
I feel like it might be less. It might be like 3 or 4, maybe.
3 or no way. Like this movie's like this movie's an hour 40, and that's like 60 minutes is like 3 episodes, so like 5 or 6 episodes. If it's 20 minutes,
you know, they're going to do the thing where the end of one episode will be the start of the other. They could probably, I can see them stretch this out into.
Fair.
And
fair enough. Yeah, that's a good point.
I think with like, you know, like what Rakush said, like this was basically divided into a, you know, a calm half and then like a frantic half. And I feel like a lot of people probably wouldn't have liked having, 2 or 3.5 episodes of chill in Chainsaw Man if they're like anime only. Cause I kind of see Chainsaw Man as more like when I think of Chainsaw Man at first, I do think of it more so as a shonen anime. And I think having 2 or 3.5 episodes of Slice of Life is just like, that kind of middle part of Sword Art Online that everybody really didn't like. And it being a movie lets it pace better in the same way that, like Rakush was saying, the Chainsaw Man compilation movies, even though they're just missing like 10 minutes of stuff, feels like it was paced a lot better because you consumed it all at once.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, consuming all this at once is the way to do it. I really wish I felt the kind of emotion that Rakush felt through this, but, I have been told that I have the emotional capacity of a rock, so I can't say I was, feeling all the things Rakush was feeling, but, I did have fun with this movie, and I thought it was a really fun watch.
I chose to hear that as I have the emotional capacity of The Rock.
Same thing. Yeah, fun watch.
No, I feel that. Where if I had to be completely honest, I think now that we're gonna kind of dig a bit deeper into it, I'm kind of conflicted. Where part of me kind of wishes I didn't have I need to preface this by saying I'm not a manga reader. My knowledge of Chainsaw Man is all through osmosis, all through memes, all through kind of listening to previous episodes of The Mistake Zone when Rakush or you, Matt, have hinted about some stuff that happened into the manga. And then, of course, me watching season 1 of Chainsaw Man, where I feel like there are certain things that I would have hit a lot better to me if I didn't have any previous knowledge of who Reze was, of who the Bomb Devil was. And I kind of wish I didn't watch the trailer for this movie, in that there's one specific line in the movie, and that's the one where, Denji is kind of having this kind of breakdown moment where it's that part of, he says how everyone wants the chainsaw's heart, but like no one wants, and why doesn't anyone want Denji's heart? And I feel like that should be more impactful than how I perceived it, just because that line is front and center in the trailer for this movie. And I feel like you're giving a bit too much of your hand by putting that in the trailer. I understand why it's put in the trailer, but I feel like if I didn't know that line was coming at some point, it would mean a lot more, just because, again, when I first told you, Rakush, a few weeks ago that, I don't know, there's some grooming elements to this, but it's that, that realization that Denji is a 16-year-old boy at heart. Doesn't look like it, but he is. This is an anime. And it's that fact he's still trying to come to terms with what his emotions are, what he's feeling, how to navigate all of a sudden being given everything at certain costs, and how to, balance these relationships. Where that scene in particular, I know it's, playing for goofs, but when he's kind of laying it all out in front of him of, do I like Reze? Do I like Makima? Do I like, that throwaway goof with Power and then Angel as well, where even though you're supposed to kind of smirk at that, like, this is typical teenager stuff, at the same time, it's still him trying to figure out his emotions. And while I really appreciate that throughout not only the movie, but just as a element of Denji's character, I just wish that line in particular wasn't in the trailer, just because I feel like if that caught me off guard, I think it would have meant a lot more. Where, I don't know, Rakush, in terms of how Denji is presented through this movie, how are you just kind of feeling about our boy?
Yeah, I mean, I think you actually kind of hit on one of the questions I actually was looking forward to asking you, which had to do with sort of like, just, do you see Denji differently after this movie than before, right? Because like you were talking about sort of like how like weird or like, just a little bit like skeevy some of like the elements felt with like how the like, some of the characters around him are treating him and are manipulating him, right? And I think like and this is kind of getting into mild spoiler territory where it's speaking about some of the character motivations. So if you do want to watch this, please, please, please just pause it, go buy a ticket, go watch it, come back, continue listening to us after. But I think like the reason this arc, even in the manga, really stood out to me is sort of like the moment where I truly realized what I was reading was something special, is that I think you see a lot of the similar manipulation, or like you see a character on the other end of all the manipulation, as in like, you know, all the manipulation has already happened with a character like Reze. And you see where she is after all of that. And you see where Denji could end up after all of that, right? And then like there's also that fascinating dynamic as well of just sort of like who's saving who in this like very cliched, like, you know, I can fix him, I can fix her kind of dynamic that's happening there. But like I think that kind of really spoke volumes as well in this, like, you know, arc, and like it kind of speaks a lot more to just sort of like what this series is trying to do with how they portray Denji, is that it is, and I think like this really was magnified after rewatching the compilation, by the way, is seeing how like in the early episodes as well, like you see how low the bar is for Kid Denji. Like he's literally talking about just putting jam on toast as like a life goal, right? And then like you see him achieve that stuff and he's literally just going all out, and like it looks gross and it's the best bite in the world for him kind of thing, but it's that low bar that like makes him so susceptible to the manipulation that's happening with him by everybody, right? And like it's this kid that is figuring out societal cues and figuring out like how to deal with people. Like such a big part of this plot is him and Reze talking about how he's never gone to school before, right? And like the things that like I genuinely think in my personal life I take for granted a lot of the mistakes that I made in high school, but also through the mistakes a lot of the lessons that I learned from that as well. And I still do take it for granted every now and then, but it's this idea that like the 16-year-old, this kid, has just never had any normalcy in his life. And even through this manipulative lens from Rezi's side, like, it's this idea that, like, sure, she might be using these things to manipulate him, but the whole thing about this movie is it manipulation? Is it no longer manipulation? Like, it's this weird gray area that, like, you know, they never fully address. I don't think so. But that's the beauty of this. And I think, like, it really solidifies who Denji is as a character, while also doing a beautiful job of explaining where Denji has come from the beginning of the series to now as well. And I hope that does make sense. And also, yeah, just to kind of throw it back to you as well, right, Jaren? And like, Matt, not to kind of single you out of this conversation as well, I'll throw it to both of you. Like, what do you guys feel about Denji after this movie?
I think one line in particular stood out to me in terms of Denji, and I think it kind of made, I personally took it a lot more heartbreaking than probably other people took it. But again, coming off the compilation movies and rewatching kind of the first few episodes with Denji, and you know, one of the first agreements with Power is, hey, if you do this, you can cop a feel. And then you have that, you know, the infamous Makima scene in the office of, if you kill the gun devil, I'll grant you any wish. And, you know, you have just the way Makima presents that question and the whole scene, you know, it's a really intense scene. It's really suggestive. And you see Denji be flustered. And during this movie, he admits what that wish would be of, hey, when I killed the gun devil, I'm going to ask Makima to be my girlfriend. And like, there's this hint of how naive Denji is, which makes this whole, you know, my whole thing of, wow, I didn't realize how kind of sad this whole thing is at the heart of it. Of, wow, it is a lot of people trying to take advantage of Denji for the fact that he's so naive. And at the same time, I'm not saying naive in a negative term, but how kind of innocent someone who is a chainsaw devil can be. And I think by the end of this movie, just seeing how, he's battling between Reze. Apologies to everyone. I've been saying Reze the whole time because spoilers. I always think about Reze from Persona 4, but just to see him at the end waiting for her at the cafe with a bouquet of flowers, just makes the whole. It by the end of it, I want to root for Denji, but at the same time, I feel like just how innocent he is. It gives me this pit in my stomach of, can someone who is this naive, can someone who is being manipulated left and right actually get through this whole thing unscathed with that innocence? And I think that's the most thing I'm interested is, how will Denji stay the same, or will he be broken in some way by the end of it? And I think that's...
Sure, no lie. Kind of got goosebumps at you coming to the realization, because that itself, like, that is the core of what this series is, and it's beautiful. It's the way they handle it. It's bittersweet. It's tough sometimes, but it's beautiful. So yeah,
but yes, I think
sorry.
It like, I'm not gonna say, like, at its core, the show is kind of icky, and I feel like that makes Denji's story to me a lot more intense. But at the same time, it's just the way, maybe this is my cynical view of the world of, how can Denji win when everyone's against him for the wrong reasons? But I think that's where I'm standing. But Matt, how are you feeling about our boy by the end of it?
I mean, I think I'm kind of similar. Cause like, I really only watched the trailer for Denji Man, for Chainsaw Man, for Chainsaw Man once. So I had not remembered the Chainsaw Man's heart, Denji's heart, thing. And I'm really glad that they put that in there for, you know, kind of, dumbos like me who, you know, didn't really get everything, until that point. Cause, you know, that was really the transition for me when cause I always viewed Denji as a, oof, that's rough type situation. And this changed it to a, oh, that's sad type situation.
It is sad. And I don't know. I feel like the second thing, I guess I'm just going to get into it before we kind of go into some other topics. Part of the reason why I kind of wish I didn't have some of this background knowledge is I'm curious how movie only, like, viewer experiences, just without having the knowledge of even the anime itself. Just, hey, my friend says to check out this movie, it explains itself, I just want to check out this movie, see what it's about, get its vibe, and maybe I'll watch the season afterwards. And I kind of wanted to watch the movie in that mindset, just because I feel like Makima is presented in such an interesting way in this movie, where, you know, you get the context that she's the head of whatever department, or she's some big shot at the Devil Hunters Association. And you get that scene in the beginning of the movie, that normal scene of her going on the movie date with Denji, you know, watching, what was it, 12 hours of movies back to back to back. And then, you know, all of them reacting kind of just no reaction to the first few, and then all of a sudden both of them tearing up by the end of it to kind of humanize these characters. And, you know, it's that thought of, okay, Makima seems like that a normal person. And then there's that one Reze line where, after it's revealed that she wants to, when she said, let's run away together to Denji, and she realizes that no, Makima has her hooks on him, that she says, oh, if the witch knows about you, there's no way we could have ran away. And then, of course, that comes to the reveal at the end where Reze is running towards the cafe, the full circle moment with the city rats, and then Makima stepping out of the rats. And then just that feeling of, oh, this Makima person might not be a good person after all, where I think just how Makima is being presented in this movie alone, with that contrast of her being kind of a normal girl in the beginning to this omnipresent god at the end. I don't know, like, as much as I'm really curious to see where Denji's story ends up, I feel like based on the limited amount of I know about Makima and what's being presented to her, like I still think I'm still surprised that Makima plays a bigger role than I thought she did in this movie. But at the same time, I feel like her as a character is at the center of all my questions of this whole franchise. And I don't know, that's a long way of me saying that I'm a Makima fanboy, but at the same time, I feel like this movie does a good job in making you feel. I don't know if it's supposed to be resent, but kind of scared of her at the end of the day. Rakush, what do you think of Makima?
I know you said that you wish you knew lesser about this movie, and so I'm trying to be careful about sort of like what I say about what's coming up and everything as well. You know what? Based on that, I'm actually going to plead the fifth here and not actually share my thoughts, because I think like my takeaway from this conversation with like you and Matt as well is I'm actually really excited to kind of see how you experience like, you know, whatever else comes up. And I think like that's why the lesser I say, I think it to me feels like it might be a cooler payoff for you as well. Whether that is like, you know, you picking up the manga to read it or you wait for whatever's coming up next, which sounds like it might not be until like late next year or early 2027. So yeah,
guys, we're old. Time's a cruel mistress. But Matt, gotta ask you, what do you think of our boy Beam?
I mean, I like him. He's a cool dude. He's a cool dude. You know, he's there for his buddies, and that's what's important.
Fair.
That's a real bro. That's a real bro.
So, but Matt, we've had so many characters kind of established throughout the first season, you know, Denji's acquaintances, his teammates. I guess how do you feel about having a established ensemble cast and then them for the most part being either sidelined or reduced to cameos when the movie comes around?
I mean, for me, that's fine. Like I wish Violence Devil did more stuff because, you know, I just generally like his design, but, you know, for everybody else, it's like, okay. I thought, what's his face? I can't remember his name right now. Dude with Future Devil in his eye.
Aki?
I thought he did more in this arc. I guess I was like wrong. Like, or maybe, was this some arc like fully accurate to, or like pretty accurate to manga or no?
Full transparency, I don't remember everything about the manga right now. It seemed pretty accurate, but after like the Tuesday rewatch, I am gonna go and start rereading the manga a little bit just to kind of see how 1-to-1 it was. But like what I do feel confident saying is, and it's a bit of a non-answer still, is that it captures the essence well.
Yeah.
So even if it cut out some plot points, like I don't know if the essence was missing.
Yeah, I mean, like, from what I remember about the manga, the feel was, like, basically the same. Or, like, you know, the major feel of it was, like, basically the same. But, yeah, like, I think dropping a lot of the additional cast to focus more so on basically the Denji movie is fully, not viable, allowed, legal? I'm not sure what word I'm looking for here. But, you know, I fully understand why they did it for this movie.
Fair. Rakush, gotta ask, as since I know you're a power boy, how do you feel about her presentation, quote unquote, in this movie?
Yeah, I mean, it was great. I love a lot of characters from this series, right? Like, I feel like Power and Reze are kind of like 1A, 1B as far as like my favorite characters are concerned. And to be honest, even after part 2, I still feel pretty confident saying that. So, yeah, like, I wasn't too, like, bummed out or anything that Power was missing or anything like that. I think, like, it's handled really well.
Okay. Just to confirm, the Chainsaw Man manga is still ongoing, correct?
Yes. So, part 1 is basically like up until chapter 100 or something like that, and then part 2 it converted to like digital, which I believe is like the Jump Plus app or something like that, and yeah, that one's been ongoing. But I don't know how much longer it's going to be going for. Like, there's no confirmation one way or the other about it ending anytime soon or anytime afterwards, or like a new arc or whatever. Is Fujimoto's just kind of doing his thing.
Fair. Fair. But yeah, Rakush, as the resident Chainsaw Man fan, bring us home here. What are your final thoughts on from the sound of it, your first watching of the Chainsaw Man movie?
Yeah, man. I've watched enough things in my life to know, as I'm watching newer stuff lately, that like this is stuff I'm going to come back to for a very long time. And I definitely have that feeling with the Reze Arc movie. And yeah, it just, I know that based on what I read online, which I know is like a very small group of fans, of course, ultimately, but like the fans are divided on what season 1 was. It's also pretty clear that like I'm on the side that did not feel it was great. But there's a lot of folks that felt like season 1 took some chances and took a lot more inspirations from, I would say, Western materials. But then ultimately that doesn't, to me, it did not translate and capture what the essence of Chainsaw Man was. And that's kind of like this key word that I keep using in the conversation for this movie itself. And yeah, like sitting through an hour, 40 minutes of this movie, I felt right from like the first 15 minutes that like it did a far better job capturing exactly how I always kind of like envision these characters being on screen. Like, even when I think about just sort of like how they sound and how the, you know, delivery of certain lines would be and things like that, it feels more in line with what I was hoping for. And so I think like it's very rare that we get something that like, you know, we're so attached to, and then like a version of that media like gets, you know, like what do you call it, like a version of it or an adaptation of it disappoints you, but then like it continues and it gets better and like it recaptures you, sort of thing, right? Like, I don't know if I did a great job explaining that, but it is very rare that like that disappointment is made right. And the fact that it was made right, I think it's yeah, I'm really glad, and just yeah, also vindicated in sort of like, you know, me being such a proponent for the series as well. So yeah, I also kind of hope that like, you know, the two of you kind of have like, you know, a fun time with like whatever's coming up with the series as well. Like, there's some really cool things happening and some like things that are equally as insane as what we saw in the movie as well. So like it is definitely a continuation of that stuff. Yeah, I hope they do a good job with it, whether it's a TV show or like a series or a season, or if it's a movie, whatever it is. Like, yeah, I just hope they do a good job with it. And if it's the same team or at least the same director, I definitely have my confidence in whatever's coming up.
Yep. I think at the end of the day, you can only hope that whatever comes next, whether it be another movie, another season, it holds up the quality, because again, the production values for this movie were really impressive. And I would hate to go from that to, you know, PowerPoint slideshow anime.
Yeah, hopefully no frame saw, man.
Oh man.
But guys, I lied. Matt, as someone who has you know, watched his fair share of different media, and that includes romance adjacent, the ending when Reze is running towards the cafe trying to get to Denji, who's waiting for her, and then all of a sudden tragedy strikes. Matt, where does the end sequence fall where does it rate among the tragic love endings that you've seen through all your time watching media?
I mean, it seems about normal to me, which is, I think, like, you know, thinking back to what that ending was is kind of fucking to say. But, yeah, no, it seems about right for, these characters, which, I don't know how I feel about saying that.
Fair. But, boys, thinking about the Chainsaw Man movie, damn, that city gets fucked up. Like really bad. Like, Bomb Devil exploded a bunch of stuff. Matt, what do you think a dispatch call would sound like for that whole event?
Oh, I think it would sound pretty rough. Honestly, it would sound, really, really rough. Unless you had a team of superheroes to take care of it as well.
Matt, you've been playing a new episodic video game in Dispatch. And Matt, does this bring back the glory days of the Telltale games?
I am of kind of two minds there. I think story-wise it does. For those who don't know, Dispatch is a Telltale I don't know what the actual genre of this video game is called anymore. Where the general story is about a dude who is a superhero, or who was a superhero through, story. He is no longer a superhero, and now he works as a superhero dispatcher. And you are kind of just playing through this guy's life as a dispatcher. The game is divided into two parts. There's the Telltale-like portion of it, and then there's a more game portion of it where, if you guys have ever played something like 911 Operator or Emergency Operator or those type of games, it's a game where you kind of have a map of the city, and then little nodes are showing up, and it's my cat's stuck in a tree or some crap like that. So then you have to pick heroes from your roster, send them out. This takes time. Each of the heroes has their own skills, whether it's, they're good at fighting things, or they're good at being charismatic, or, they were demons, so you can't send them on publicity things unless they're cool. But they all have their own talents, and it is kind of just a resource strategy management type game. And I was actually very surprised at how competent the game part of that is, because in the first two episodes, right now the game is at episode 4. In the first two episodes, the dispatch stuff was a little weak, but it was, kind of in its tutorial phase. But in episodes 3 and 4, that thing picks up. That thing gets kind of rough towards in those middle parts. But I think the part that's probably going to draw more people is the Telltale portion of it, which I think is doing a very good job in terms of its story for the most part. There are kind of a couple things that I don't really like about it, which is, the first is that I think that the episodes are all too short.
Okay.
The episodes 3 and 4 were maybe about an hour each, and then episodes 1 and 2 were a little bit under an hour. They are releasing 2 episodes at a time, so if you kind of line it up with the Telltale series, it is basically releasing the same amount of content. But maybe I'm just kind of butthurt that an episode here is, only 1 hour, where in Telltale an episode was 2 hours, even though they're releasing the same amount of content. I'm just, being a little butthurt here. But the second part is that I like the main character as a main character. I think it's a very understandable character. I think he's cool dude. But I don't like him as a player avatar, if that makes sense. Because, Walking Dead. And I feel that is very much the, poster child for this type of game.
Yeah.
And I feel like the main character, very weird to say, has too much personality, or not personality, I guess established history to him. Whereas, looking at Telltale's Walking Dead, Lee is sort of a blank slate. Whereas this guy, when I was playing The Walking Dead, I was making choices that I felt I would make in that situation. Whereas in Dispatch, I feel like I'm making choices that I believe the main character would make in this situation.
Fair.
If that makes sense.
I see where you're coming from.
And not that that's particularly bad or anything. It just wasn't what I was expecting going into it. Because this main character, he seems like a perfectly cool, upright dude, and I think that goes against with what I would choose in this type of game. Which I feel like that paints me in a kind of a bad light. But my complaints about this game are very minor. I like the humor in this game. I like the writing in this game. I think I would not be surprised, since this is, just a superhero property. I wouldn't be surprised if they turned this just into a show at some point, or they release a version of it with all its assets that has that is just watchable without playing the game. But overall, I really, really think that people should check out this game if they are at all interested in doing another Telltale-like experience.
Mm-hmm. And Rakush, I know, Saturday morning arcade history's past. You had a fondness for the Walking Dead games. Where does Dispatch do anything for you? Is it on your radar in any way?
No, to be honest, like I really haven't been the most up to date on a lot of the things that are coming out lately, and this is one of the reasons. But also, yeah, like I haven't really played a lot of the recent Telltale games. I think the last one I played might have been the Batman one,
Right.
which I don't know how many years ago that was.
Yeah, and who knows when The Wolf Among Us 2 will come out, if ever. I think that's in current limbo. And to be fair, I don't even know what modern Telltale is these days, where I think we exist as a developer, but that might be just because their name was bought. But I don't know. I know our pal Julian's also been playing Dispatch, so maybe once the season concludes, we can get him on the show again, and then you can give a full review of the entire season.
Sorry, I should correct myself. It's not that this wasn't on my radar. It's that I forgot it after I saw that trailer initially a few months back, where I was like, hey, this is cool, and it just left my memory after that, to be honest with you guys.
But I guess my final question to you, Matt, is, every time something does release episodic, based on what you've played so far, do you think that episodic format really helps it? Or would you just recommend to people just to wait for everything to be released and just binge it all at once?
Yeah, should come out all together as one standalone movie. all at once,
Okay.
all at once.
Fair enough.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like, I think I am more so just a fan of binge culture. I don't know, like, where you guys stand on how you like to consume your media. But if I can binge it, I'd rather binge it.
I'll be completely honest, boys. Unless it has its hooks on me, I feel like if something's week to week, I'm more likely to drop it. And if you want me to finish something, I'm more so finishing something if I'm binging it. I don't know what that says about me, and my patience or my attention span. But yeah, if there's a drop off, I might just never finish. How about you, Rakush? How are your watching habits these days?
Everything except for when it gets to the final arcs, I will watch as it's happening. Like, My Hero Academia is in its final season, except, like, I feel like Attack on Titan and, well, Demon Slayer, even though I haven't watched it, have kind of taught me a lesson to just wait until it's actually done before I watch it. So I think that's where I'm at right now with a lot of this.
All right. But,
Plus, like, binging it all at once really makes any slow arcs feel a lot better.
Fair.
Yeah, we also just talked about this with Chainsaw Man, right? Like, did it feel like it was better paced because it was a movie versus 6 episodes? I think it played a little bit of a role, but that could be a thing.
Boys, you know what else is a thing?
What's that, Jaren?
The Don't Match Me challenge. And I believe, Rakush, you're up to bat yet again. Full circle. Rakush, take it away.
Jared, I really appreciate that. I think you tried to guess what my Don't Match would be about this week. Plot twist, it is not about baseball. We spent a lot of time talking about Chainsaw Man's chainsaws, tools. So this week's Don't Match Me is the Handyman edition of Don't Match Me. Right. But guys, before we get to Handyman edition, have to explain what Don't Match Me is. It is the game we play every week where one of us who's responsible for coming up with the questions comes up with a series of 5 questions. And the other folks on the episode have to try to not give the same answer as, in this case, me. If you're listening along, you don't want to match me. Hard mode, you don't want to match any of us that are on this episode today. That's 3 of us. Typically, it's 3 of us. Well, at least 2 of us. Have we ever done a solo episode before? I don't think so, right?
No. Unless Jaren did one by himself at the very start of Saturday Morning Arcade.
No, I don't think I can carry it. Boys, I tried to record a solo episode of Saturday Morning Arcade on the CFRU days. I don't like not having someone bounce off stuff, so.
Feel.
You know what that makes me feel like? So at work, like me and my team have morning like calls to kind of like go through like the day's things. And somehow I've kind of become responsible for being the person that comes up with a fun fact every day. And then I try to riff on it, and I'm basically doing like a stand-up routine with like, 4 people on a call, except they're always on mute. And so I think I've nailed a joke, and then it's just silence. And then it just reminds me of like that comic panel with like the dinosaur that says the joke, and then the crowd is just like dead, and then he's just standing there with like his mouth agape. Like, that's how I always feel. So, Jaren, completely feel you.
We got him.
I was waiting for you. See, exactly. That's exactly it. That is exactly it.
Got him.
Oh, man.
Don't match me. Handyman edition. Guys, we talked about Chainsaw Man, so I think it's best that I start with a question tied to chainsaws. Take a look at the Home Depot website. Take a look at whatever website you want to. Folks, I want you to tell me one brand that is known for selling tools, bracket, chainsaws. I say tools because, like, no one brand sells only chainsaws, I don't think, but if you look up chainsaws, you'll find the brands. Do you guys own a chainsaw, by the way? Either of you?
Nope.
I think my dad has one.
Yeah, I think my parents have one, but me, no.
You guys ever used a chainsaw?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I would love to. But also I'd be like scared shitless of like, cutting off.
Oh yeah, I was like scared. I was hella scared to like, make a mistake.
Okay. So, I'm about to name a brand known for selling chainsaws in 3, 2, 1. I'm actually going to go with the brand that for the longest time I thought was a beer brand, Milwaukee.
Ooh.
Good answer.
The reason I thought it was a beer brand, to be honest, is because Milwaukee, it's like, Wisconsin is very much known for beers. So, yeah. Jaren, what do you got?
I went with the only, I guess, power tool adjacent brand that I know because I used their lawnmower earlier today.
Oh.
And that is Ryobi.
Oh man.
Did he batch?
No, I didn't. I was close. I went with one of the other, Harry Potter houses of the power tool world. I went with DeWalt.
Oh, good answer.
DeWalt's good. DeWalt's good. Listeners might have got this one. The other one I had on my list was Black & Decker. Except, like, I feel like Black & Decker is one of those weird brands where, like, once you get past a certain size, I don't know if I trust Black & Decker as a brand outside of, like, a drill, basically. Anything larger than a drill. Don't know if I trust it.
Maybe. I guess I more so think of Black & Decker kitchen stuff. So I think I get why you think of that.
I don't know either. It's not like I own like any massive tools or anything like that. So yeah. Ayo, by the way, but yes. Guys, you know the brand. You're at the Home Depot. You found the chainsaw. You know what? You want to do a little bit more shopping. There's a few other things in your house that, need to be done up, need to be fixed up. What's the first aisle that you're looking for after you've bought your chainsaw at the Home Depot?
Sorry, I wanna just make sure of something, Rakush. Do you mean the first aisle in general, or the first aisle I'm looking for to fix something, or to get something to fix something?
It could be either, right? Like, you go to Home Depot, you've got the chainsaw, and you're like, all right, there's something else I need to do at home. Whatever that something is, it's drawing you to a certain aisle, whatever that aisle is.
Okay.
All right, guys. So I'm being drawn in 3, 2, 1 to the paint section.
Good section.
Now here's the plot twist. I just go to the paint section because I like seeing what colors they have available. Not because I'm actually, trying to repaint anything there. So
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes I look at a paint, like one of those like paint strips, and I'm like, there's no way someone's painted their wall this color. I don't believe it. But, Jaren, what do you got?
I'm going to go with the last aisle I was in a Home Depot aisle. And that was the security section where you can find all the different house locks, padlocks, and various, I guess, lock accessories.
You can never be too safe. I feel that.
Oh, man.
Matt, what do you got?
I went to the kind of I'm not sure what like it would technically be called. I consider it like the kind of like minor electronics aisle because I figured if I'm at Home Depot or whatever, I would probably go look for batteries while I'm there. But
I feel that.
You know,
I feel that.
Rakush, the reason I was asking that question earlier on like the aisle that I go to if I'm just like, there, that would have been a different answer, which is the aisle with all the lamps. Because I don't know why, I just get drawn to the lamps whenever I go to one of these places.
It's because you're a moth. Moth Alba.
yeah, that's about right.
Pretty good.
Feeling snappy today, guys. Feel real snappy. Look at what getting all that hate out of my system does. After the Sox, after the Jays lost, but Anyways, guys, I'm throwing myself a little bit of a curveball here because I wrote down 5 questions, and as I was going through the chainsaw question, I also realized it was Halloween a couple of days ago, and there is an iconic character with a chainsaw for a hand, Ash, and it got me thinking. You know what, guys? We haven't done a lot of Halloween talking right now. I'm gonna ask you guys to name one monster from a slasher flick. I also don't have this written down, so I'm kind of answering this on the fly. So, let's see.
Yep.
I've never actually watched the movie that he's from, so I've only ever seen pictures of Ash. I always just thought he was holding a chainsaw.
Yeah, no. Like, I can't remember which part he got the hand in, but yeah. Anyways, iconic. All right. Slasher monster in 3, 2, 1. I gotta go with Michael Myers from Halloween. That's the iconic one, Jaren, who you got?
I went with... I don't know why this was the first one to pop in my head, but I went with the Leprechaun from the Leprechaun movies.
That's a good one. It's actually really deep. That's a really, really good one. Holy shit. I should watch those movies again. It's been a very long time, but yeah. Matt, what do you got?
I went with Ghostface.
Yes,
that's
a good
like
one.
That was like
answer.
I think one of my first Halloween costumes.
Good costume.
Yeah.
Yes,
Or not one of my first Halloween. One of my first Halloween costumes that I picked.
Yeah.
It's all reliable, right?
Uh-huh.
Like, it's a trusty one. Like, you don't have to do a lot of work for it. Like, you can make it work with, like, the lowest amount of resources. It's a good one. Guys, staying in the world of media, we're talking about tools. I'm going to do the thing Matt is beefing with me about, which is explaining this transition here, because I don't actually know how else to transition from slashers to the next question. But I'm going to go a little Canadian with this one. There is the classic legendary Canadian series, The Red Green Show.
Ooh.
Guys, Red Green does a lot of talk with like duct tape and things like that with a bunch of different characters. Now, if you guys want to take some time to look up the characters from this series, that's cool, but I want you guys to name any character from The Red Green Show. For those listening who are not familiar with The Red Green Show, I think it started airing in like 1991 when I was like 2 years old, basically. But like, I remember like in the early 2000s when I would like basically skip school or like cut class or whatever and sleep in. Like, when I'd stay at home and watch like just basic cable television, Red Green Show would be on quite a bit. I don't remember a lot from it, but the one thing I did remember is what inspired this question. So whenever you guys are ready, let me know.
Damn. Run was January 91 to April 2006. And
crazy.
That's longer
right?
than I thought.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wait, yeah. 300 episodes in all, 15 seasons. On CBC, Global had a stint on YTV. Yep.
Yeah, I believe he used to play 10 a.m. on YTV. Or no, not on YTV. I think Global had it at 10 a.m., which is when I used to watch it. Because that would be around when I would wake up when I was cutting class. And look at me now, a functioning adult.
Oh, man.
Can't believe it. Character from the Red Green Show in 3, 2, 1. Guys, I gotta go with Hap Shaughnessy, a.k.a. the inventor of basketball. R.I.P. to the actor of Hap Shaughnessy, Gordon Pinsett, but it is honestly a really funny clip that if you get a chance to look up on YouTube, check it out. Hap Shaughnessy. Matt, Jaren, who you got?
I just went on, while I'm on the Wikipedia page, I just went with the first of the other characters in Ranger Gord.
Yeah, classic.
Ooh. I went with the only other character I knew or know from the show, because I never really watched it, which is his nephew, just Harold Green.
Fair.
Yeah.
Okay, I also had to go to the Wikipedia page to find these characters. I did not know this guy's name wasn't Red Green. I thought that was like this dude, like the real dude's name, like in the kind of like Tim Taylor is the dude in Home Improvement.
Mhm.
Oh wait, no, fuck, his real name was like Tim Allen.
Yeah. I guess
Okay.
Matt, I get what you mean. What you mean.
I thought his real
Matt-
name was like Red Green, and they kind of just like built a fake fiction around him.
But you know what's amazing that you mentioned Home Improvement? Because I was debating between two questions to ask with regards to the TV show. It's either name a character from Home Improvement or name a character from the Red Green Show. Ended up going with the Red Green Show. But guys, there's one more question left. Red Green's toolbox. Imagine you get a peek into it. You see the duct tape. But aside from the duct tape, just name another tool that can be found in Red Green's toolbox, in your toolbox, in anybody's toolbox. I just want you guys to name any tool. So the tool I find in a toolbox first, in 3, 2, 1. I'm going with the wrench, guys.
Ooh.
Classic.
If you can dodge a wrench,
You
you can dodge a ball. Wrong series, but
but
I just wanted
still
to say that.
still the correct tool. Still the correct tool.
Yeah. I just wanted to say that. That's all. Jared, who you got? What do you got?
I went with the tool that I also used today, the drill.
Hey.
Ooh.
I would ask you what you're poking holes in afterwards, but we'll save that for after the recording. Matt, what do you got?
Rakush, it turns out I can't dodge a wrench.
Oh,
I also picked the wrench.
so close. Dang. Well, you matched me right at the very end of this week's Don't Match Me episode.
That's how it be.
It is what it is. That's life.
That's
You can't
life.
win them all.
And that's, boys, another, let's say, beefy episode of the Mistake Zone, where we
Sub 90.
had some laughs, we had some tears, but at the end of the day, we had some friendship. And I would like to thank my friends once again, first up being Matt Alba for joining me this week and editing this podcast. Thanks, Matt.
Yo, no problem, man. As always, Jaren, I want to thank you for hosting this episode and resolving your beef with Rakush so that we could finally come together as the Mistake Zone family.
Of course.
Jaren, I just wish that you could mend your beef with Julian and Mark.
Day at a time, Matt. Day at a time. But I want to thank my other best friend in the whole wide world, Rakush, for joining us this week and bringing the Don't Match Me challenge. Thanks, Rakush.
Thank you, Jaren. Beef ended with Jaren. Beef started with Matt.
All right, let's go.
Okay. And boys, I'd also like to, guys, I want to thank Denji. I want to thank Reze. Boys, I'll always thank Makima. And I want to thank dispatch workers for all they do, I think. But
Yes. Thank you for your service.
Matt, please take it away.
This has been the Mistake Zone, and we're all out of pacing issues.